Yeah.
Yeah, Phil.
Welcome, Kuberg. How are you doing?
-8 here in Skogen in my garage. A little cold, but I'm fucking stoked. We got Skogen tonight.
Doing it for the people. You heard this, everybody? Iberg's freezing his ass off to give flowers to a pioneer in the game. Not only is he a pioneer, but he came in and broke the laws of physics, showed the world a whole new axis to spin on, defined what physicists thought was real, and appropriately naming it the Skodio. Yeah, people, this is the originator of the trick itself. He got the cover shot of Powder and Freeze magazine, two of the most coveted magazines in the game. His skiing style is composed and smooth. It's like the calm after the storm. Y'all just witnessed. Tonight, and not to forget, he's managed to keep relevance through more than 2 decades in the sport through video segments, competitive shit, and also coaching.
Yeah.
He's passing the torch. Tonight, we give him flowers to
Skogen motherfucking Sprang. We stoked, man. But hey, we forgot, man.
Shit. I forgot the introduction to what you smoking before we get Skogen.
Skogen Dark Horse Farms, man. We got Ross Jake. Man, Phil's live from Tremblant. He's in a satellite position. We're doing something new, man. So we got Skogen. He just got home in Tahoe. Call him up, man. Give thanks to Ross Jacob, as always, every week. Give thanks to everyone that tuned in. We're going to give Skogen a call. We're going to start this awesome show.
Skogen is going to split the screen.
Like that. It's going to be rat-tat-tat if he answers. Slowly but surely.
How you keep Skogen warm, man?
Yeah. Skogen. Give him a call. They're getting us all stoked. Tell us what kids are spinning and flipping. You're going to learn a bunch, guys. Stick around if you're hanging out, tuning into this. Don't know what the hell's going on. We're going to talk with Skogen Sprang. Shows about giving flowers. Celebrate everything that Skogen brought to the sport. Give thanks to him, because it is a pretty big fucking deal. So, Skogen, if you're watching this, Phil's trying to give you a call right now.
Skogen, if you're on your computer, this is only a cell phone live device. So tune in on your cell phone, because here it says that you cannot be invited to the live. So
true. Skogen, you're old, man. You got to do it on phones. So he's there.
Oh, there man. We go. Yeah. I had some technical difficulties. I had to bring out some old gear, bringing it back to 2000 for you boys. I got a pile of old stuff.
But your TV is unmounted. First pro model ever.
Hey. Look at that. Yeah.
Woo! You will get
How you guys doing? Yeah, sorry, I cut out there. I had to go to, allow the microphone because I don't like them, listening to my shit.
Oh, you're recorded.
No, now it's good.
Hell yeah! Thanks for showing up with the gear too, man. With the
figured we'd dig out a few things. You guys you're talking about the game. I got a VHS copy of the game right here in front of me.
This is a plastic thing, people. That you.
I don't know if it's like you got to put it in a player and play it, right? It even comes with a DVD soundtrack here. Pretty classic.
DVDs and VHSs, man. So, Skogen, have you ever seen the show before?
I caught a little bit. I keep missing a bunch of them because just timing and stuff with the family, which I'm sad about because I've been following who, you guys have been giving flowers to, and that's been a bunch of really dope people. And I've kind of tuned in just for a couple minutes here and there. Unfortunately, that's all I've been able to do.
So the point of the show for you, for the people that are tuning in, is like Phil and I, like, we got a bunch of shit going on in our lives, and we always end up talking about skiing a bunch. And like when we do it, like we started to notice last spring, we're like, man, like there's so many awesome people that like no one really has a clue about that existed. No one doesn't know what's going on. The history's not really taught. There's no Hall of Fame, you know, and all this stuff. And we're like, man, like some of these people need to know how dope they are. So we kind of wanted to just create this show, Giving Flowers, to like use it as a platform to celebrate like you and all these different people that like say, hey, thank you for everything you brought to the sport. So pretty much this whole show is about like for the next hour or however long you got is to say thank you and tell you how dope you are and like kind of remember all the things that you brought and help make the sport what it is today. So it's just a big thank you and a fucking big celebration, man. So thanks for being here, Skogen.
Damn, no, thank you guys very much, man. It's crazy that that it's 2022, about to be 2023. And yeah, that we were kids running around, you know, 22, 23 years ago, having the time of our lives, you know, filming these videos. And it was just like, yeah, it's so new back then. And it's just rad and rad, good, you know, stuff is still new for all these crazy kids out there these days. Are making just so much more crazy stuff happen too. And the evolution's been really cool to see.
Yeah, it is, man. And so, Phil, where should we start? You're always the best at the start. Should we just do basics?
Yeah, absolutely. Sko, can you please take us where you grew up and how did you get into skiing, and maybe tie in like one big thing about the show is often we bring about parents and how parents were instrumental to us being able to pursue this lifestyle that we got. So take us through the early Skog days, please.
For sure, yeah. The early SCO days are down in Marin County, California, just outside of San Francisco. And I grew up there in the redwood forests, running around. And my dad, yeah, he was kind of got into skiing late, probably like in his 20s, and was a Midwesterner. And so once he discovered how much he loved it, he really wanted to bring us into skiing. So naturally, Lake Tahoe was a few hours away, and he would really, you know, go. He would, yeah, put everything into it to bring my brothers and I up. You know, not every single weekend, but just about every other weekend or so. You know, we'd go quite a bit, a lot more than most people that I went to school with, you know, and stuff like that. So it was always just a really special thing. You know, I do find like, you know, when people that come from not necessarily ski towns, you know, really have a lot of love for it because it's such a special thing. I didn't get to go all the time. So anyway, fast forward to like high school times. A good buddy of mine, Filthy Rich Mangum, which I think you guys both know. We started.
Yeah, big up Filthy Rich, man.
We met up. We both had the same idea. We got a job at a ski shop in San Rafael. Big ups to Demo Ski. It's just this ski shop in San Rafael, regular old Bay Area, you know, ski shop. And anyway, we started
your age. And is he from out of town as well? And you guys moved up the same time?
Totally. He's from just north in Terra Linda, so about 10 miles north of where I was at in Mill Valley. And so both pretty close to San Rafael there. And so, yeah, we both started working at the ski shop at the same time. That's how we met. And then we ended up scheming on moving up together. And so we worked at the shop for about 2 years during high school. I was about a sophomore in high school at the time. And we would drive up. We'd sleep in each other's cars. I had an old Toyota, like an 86 red Toyota with a camper shell. And he had a 68 VW van, which was really slow going up the hill, but it would make it. And we would drive it. We'd sleep in the Sugar Bowl parking lot because we got like $5 tickets at Sugar Bowl and Alpine and Squaw, and that was through the shop deal, right? So we would drive up and ski on like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day we could get up, and we were even snowboarding at the time too. Rich is more of a snowboarder, and I was doing some snowboarding at the time too. But and then yeah, we moved up together. The plan came through, and 19 years old, we you know, I don't think either of our parents were too excited about it. It was like, wait, what? You're going where? And we had the, you know, the dream to kind of move up and make things happen. And he's always kind of the aspiring photographer and videographer, and I was always the stunt man, you know, trying to do silly things on whatever we were doing and jumping around. And we moved up in the fall of '97 to Lake Tahoe, and we got jobs at the Alpine Meadows at the shop right at the bottom.
So when you
3
moved
hours.
to 87, this is a pretty pinnacle time in Tahoe. There's some dope bros going down to Tahoe with like Gaffney's and like the old school crew coming up with like the Shane Anderson. When do you like link up with people outside of you, Rich Magnum?
So it didn't take long because yeah, the condominiums, they're called, yeah, the condos as they call them at the top of Alpine there, seem to be a hotbed for ski bums and skiers trying to do the same thing. So yeah, we didn't really, you know, we were kind of very fresh to the scene, and then all of a sudden we started realizing there was all these guys ripping around the resort doing all different stuff, and that was you know, Clint Fiala and Rod Adams and Kent Kreitler was on the scene, kind of, you know, between Squaw and Alpine coming through. And I remember seeing dudes like basically, yeah, Clint, and then Kreitler, and another guy, Cooley, is an OG, but they had this like kind of moto crazy style that I was like blown away at. I was like, what is going on here? They had spiked belts and
Yeah,
bleached hair.
pants, man.
They were like hardcore punk rockers, you know, coming from almost like, you know, if you've ever watched some like Crusty Demons of Dirt.
I was thinking Fresno Smooth.
Fresno Smooth, great movie. If you guys haven't, I've told some people about that movie recently, and I'm always saying that, you know, there's obviously some old movies, but that one is special. With Jeremy McGrath, yeah, some crazy times. Yeah, it's like all the action sports were kind of blowing up at that time, right? Like moto and just everything, skateboarding, surfing. It was all coming into this like kind of just prime time era of yes, stuff happening. It was sick. But anyway, so back to your question, yeah, we started linking up with some of these guys between Alpine and Squaw, and the eyes were being open to like, wow, what's really going on here? And it's just like, you know, any person that you move to the mountains and you start to get immersed in the culture and the like, you start to figure out what's really going on, right? And like, damn, that's so and so, or you know what I mean? You're kind of starstruck,
Yeah.
but you're like, oh damn, they're right there, or like I kind of heard of that guy, or you know what I mean? It's like, wait, there's another guy, you know, another bro. And the same with this, you know, I was big in following the snowboard scene too, so it was the same thing. You'd go to the Squaw Park and there would be all these guys and photographers, and it was like basically a Hollywood studio of crazy stuff going down. And
Yeah,
I was
because they had
like,
like standard films out of there.
totally.
So you had standard films based out of there. So that shit always was like, what the fuck, the super gear they made and everything. So
Watching all those guys that were a lot of my idols, you know, I was able to see them and see them in person and be like, damn, he's just a regular snowboarder dude or regular skier dude and having a good time. I want to do that.
Phil, I'm gonna like take over for 2 minutes. I'm missing an ingredient that I can't continue my show on. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I so apologize, Skogen.
You're all right, Ivor.
So at this point, Skogen, are you still pursuing snowboarding only, or are you? When does the dream of like pursuing snowboarding and skiing as like a dualistic career like path become clear in your mind?
Pretty soon after that. So yeah, when we moved to Lake Tahoe, um, I was snowboarding mostly full time. I never didn't ski for a year. I always skied a few, like 5 or 6 days, and I was snowboarding when I was meeting a few of these guys, and but I would chase them around the mountain. We'd all ride together in a big rat pack, and so they were trying to figure out how to do some grabs and taking off switch on some stuff and skiing. And I kept telling them like, hey man, because I skied my whole life since I was like 3. And I'd skied all the way up till I was about 16, 17, something right in there. And then that's when I'd been snowboarding for about a year or two. And we had bought a bunch of gear from the shop. So I had actually had some fat skis in my closet. And my other roommate was this hardcore skier guy. And he had some of the first skis that were these Rosignol cut 9.8s, I think. They were like gray. Some of the first fat skis out there. Anyway, he went on this trip to Jackson Hole, and he comes back and he says, dude, you got to mount these skis up. They're insane. You don't know what they can do. Like, they surf on the powder. They're super sick. Mount these things up. So in like the spring, I think of that year, so it was like 97, 98. And I think in the spring of 98, I mounted some skis up and was blown away. Yeah, and was like, and that's when, back to your question of doing both, is I was like, damn, this is sick. Maybe I can do both. Like, I was at a level where I was like, I had a few little, feet in the door with some sponsors on the snowboard side. And then there was little big air contests and things popping up around Tahoe, and so I did do a handful of those where I actually skied and snowboarded. I forget if it was in the same day. I think it was like where I changed my gear and went and did a couple jumps, and it was pretty basic back then, but nevertheless was trying to do both and had a vision of trying to kind of mesh them together. There was there was another event that Uncle E, he's an announcer that some of you probably know, he had put together called Lord of the Boards. And it was like skier cross, border cross, and telecross all at the same time. So there was a bit of this like crossover sport vibes going on with some other stuff too.
So that kind of a question of this era right now. So like in 97 for you, you're just in Tahoe. Are you watching any ski movies, or are you only influenced by the people around you?
At the time, when I got introduced, I got to give Clint Fiala and Rod Adams and a bunch of those boys, R.I.P. Carlos, a bunch, but they had such a tight crew. They were all from down by Yosemite and Tuolumne, and they were well aware of what was going on up in Canada with Johnny D and with with Mike Douglas and Cousin and those boys and the new Canadian Air Force. And they definitely brought some attention to that. So we were looking, we were definitely aware of what was going on. And I was gonna let's see what I got here.
What's the first ski movie you saw that you saw other people doing tricks in a movie?
And so I believe that would be 13 for me.
No fucking way.
I saw, for like new school trips.
Yeah.
New school trips.
I know. To me, that's like, I don't know. It's like you like all your homies were already in Butter. 13 was the same year as Butter, right?
No, you're right. So Butter. Okay, sorry. Yeah, apologies, Constantine. Butter was on the radar for sure. Like, because that's where when I got introduced to Constantine. Here's another good one though. Skiing Extreme Live. This is my one ski movie that I had at home that I would watch. That's got Terry Cook and the Delorier brothers, John Treeman. He's kind of an OG Tahoe guy. This is one of my only ski videos that I actually would watch. Damn, I got an OG copy of 13 somewhere. I don't know where it went.
So if you're watching 13 for the first time and you're better than like, because I mean, so you have to understand, 13 came out in 1999. First time I ever saw you ski in my life was the Red Bull at Snowbird off the Windlip in 1999. You were skiing on some of these guys right here.
Yeah, maybe I guess I guess I got it wrong then. I got to go back. Degenerates was probably what I saw. Here we go.
Okay.
In the plastic.
Oh,
In the plastic you got here. Little 13, Johnny D. No, I guess I'm a year off, so it must have been Degenerates from the year before.
Okay.
Because then we were watching Butter, and I wasn't in Butter. And then that's when things started to roll with Constantine was talking about making a new movie. And the new movie was going to be Chapter 3, which is the footage you were seeing there from the Squaw Park with a little bit of snowboarding and skiing and stuff.
Big up CP right now because CP, man, like out of Tahoe, like Butter in 98, Chapter 3 in 99. And then like he went on to do Show and Prove, Believe, and Master for Tanner. So like he's a pretty fucking unbelievable dude in skiing as well.
He's a pretty OG. You know, what do we got? Oh, we got a Cyber Cartel Mike Nick special here. You know,
that's such a Skogen vibe I just got from
that is the Skogen vibe.
You know,
yeah.
Luckily, I'm a hoarder, so I keep all this stuff.
You have so much shit then.
I keep all. Yeah, I literally just kind of dug around for 10 minutes before this show, and was like, "Damn, why don't I break out some of this stuff?" Because
is that a cyber hoodie?
This is a cyber hoodie, yeah.
Yeah.
Cyber hoodie, you know. Figured. Shout out to Nicholas Erickson. I've been telling him I got this hoodie for him for about a year now.
That'd be stoked.
And I'm gonna give it to him as a gift, as a fellow, very passionate, awesome skier that's also coaching for the Swedish national team. And you know, he was looking for some gear, and I was like, "Man, I got a present for you." And yeah, shout out to him. I brought him some stickers on this last trip. Just trying to spread the love, you know.
Yes, sir. Way to keep the relics alive. And also, Nicholas is a great person to give them to.
Hell yeah.
Shouts to Nicholas.
I figured if there's anyone to give it to, he's definitely deserving, you know.
Agreed. We go ahead.
All right. I'll go back to that Red Bull Huck Fest off the Windlip in '99. So that was
a crazy trip.
I had that footage for you, Phil, like at access, but like, so like when we saw you, everyone pretty much had the fucking 1080s on, and I watched the footage and I filmed every single person that day. I lived in Salt Lake and stuff, so it's kind of like my first, like, I just quit school, get to like experience everyone in the whole sport in one contest. So Skogen, he does a flat 3, and so in this event in like January of '99 at the Red Bull Huck Fest at Snowbird, like off the Windlip or whatever this bowl is, it's all natural.
The wave.
It was the most ghetto awesome event ever. But
the
wave. Like your rotation, man, like I just remember enough people talked about it and we watched it over and over and over. Because still for another like 8 years, no one could really comprehend how to fucking rotate on their fucking back. I mean, Pollard kind of figured it out really awesomely in the next year or so. But like you were the first guy we ever saw do a flat 3. It was the wickedest shit ever. Yeah, like that, but we're talking like 99.
Yeah.
Like
that's crazy, right? That was my first like real, I guess, pro contest. I was like, what am I getting myself into? Clint Fiala got invited, and he's like, man, you want to go out to this contest? And I was really, at the time, like, sure, why not? Let's go. Yeah, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I actually used some, he gave me some borrowed, hand-me-down, like, X-Scream Solomon boots, and he gave me a pair of 1080s to ski on for that contest.
Big up Clint Fiala. If you don't know who he is, Google his name. Hopefully you can find
And,
a ski.
and yeah, we rolled into Salt Lake at like 4 a.m, something like that. And we there was a funny story. Anyway, we roll to Chris Osnes's couch at 4 a.m, sleep on his floor, and they're like, we're gonna go hit this jump up in Grizzly Gulch tomorrow. Okay, sure. So we like sleep in a little bit. They take off early, and we go rolling up there at like 10 a.m. or something to like catch up with the squad. And that's where that was the very first time I met Candide. He was up there hitting this powder jump with a bunch of people. And later that day is the day that he hit Chad's Gap for the first time when they showed the footage. And that's like we were over hitting this kind of.
I had to have met you that day because I was there with JT and the three Phils. So if
I think that's we met the three, because I was gonna say I met the three Phils as well, and that was just a sick day, dude. I remember.
He was right up. We were right below Chad's Gap building our little step down thing, and then I think you guys walked up, and Candide was there with a shovel by himself building Chad's Gap with the 160s. It was a fucking epic day.
Epic day. Epic day. And epic, epic powder. Everyone's just out there having a good time. That was cool. It was cool. And then that, go figure, we're going to hit a contest like the next day or two. But the beauty of it is everybody's out hitting a backcountry jump 2 days before a contest, and that was literally the training.
Yep.
There was no part to go hit. We're like, here's what we're doing. We're going out and building backcountry jumps, and everyone was just trying all kinds of different stuff into the powder because no one knew what they were doing,
No, I saw a side flip mute crabs that day, front flip mute. I saw so many new tricks I never saw before. The day before that.
Totally.
So is that day the inception of the Scodio?
No. Luckily, I had the only reason I went to the contest because I did have that trick on lock. I had the 360 version of the flat spin.
When did you snap?
Probably because that was in January. Yeah, probably about 2 months before.
No way, man.
Something. Yeah, we were up on Alpine Meadows and the early season, and they've got all these rollers over by Alpine Bowl Chair. And I think it was the same day I met Constantine. He was up there, and we built this little jump. And I had this vision in my head. I'll do it because the backside rodeo was the newest, hottest trick in snowboarding. Frontside rodeo was pretty cool, but then Peter Line was doing this backside rodeo melon the other way, and it was like, damn, that is the sickest trick like I have ever seen. I got to do it. So I had done a few of them on my snowboard, and then naturally I thought, why not try to do it on my skis? And anyway, I learned it on this wind lip. And it's not a wind lip. It was, I don't know. It was a jump in a little powder jump in the Alpine. Somehow, some way, the first time I did it, I landed on my feet. I was like so blind. I have no idea. It was just kind of like, here we go. Just like, whoop, throw it up there. And it worked, which was amazing. And I feel like it did, man. I could just land it somehow all the time. I did it off a handful of like cornices and things, and I don't know, it just worked. And I just kept rolling with it. And so when they asked to go to the contest, I was like, sure, I can go do this. I don't have any idea how. I was like, whatever. I don't care anything about how I'm gonna do or anything. Like if I can just go and land the trick that I learned, then cool. I feel like I'm doing I won't look like an idiot, hopefully.
Well, the biggest thing I want to start with giving flowers is, man, because we can trace it back pretty much and say you invented like the rodeo rotation. The reason why I can say that because at the time everyone else was learning the Lincoln loop, right? So it was a Lincoln Loop to late 360, which was the way that every other human being was learning a rodeo. And for see you roll like you did, like on the access you did, and to see it influence, like, you know, because then it took like until the next year, say 2000, Mike LaRoche, everyone at Squad doing Switch Rodeo 7s and stuff after you, and then Tanner picking up, winning everything for 2 years. So I want to make sure you get your flowers right here. Skogen Sprang invented the rodeo rotation in the fall of 1998, man. And it is the wickedest rotation still that everyone dreams for, that they want to, like, at least every crew I rolled with. Like, yeah, man, because it is. Like, I mean, to see that over a Lincoln Loop, to see that flat 3 that we just watched, how many Lincoln Loops? You're like watching a bunch of people like, okay, where's my spot? Okay, do a sideways cartwheel. And you're doing what you did without the sideways cartwheel just because of the snowboard mentality, and like it stuck out. And our theme always with every person we talk about, creating your own lane, and that's like the definition of it, man. Like, it's
Rory Silva. I see Rory Silva commenting here. No, I think a big part of it too. You know, on the snowboard, you learn how to take off carving, and that it's still skis are trying to figure out carving takeoffs. It seems like sometimes, like obviously, carving tricks are usually pretty dope compared to non-carving trips. And I really learned how to like carving takeoff on the snowboard, and so that's how I applied it to my skiing, because that's kind of how I knew how to hit, like for park jumps. Obviously, when I was younger, you hit regular jumps, non-carving, but for park jumps, I kind of had my like setup turns and holding an edge through the lip, and that's how I would like set all my tricks. So it helped with the axis, I think, and yeah, and doing it the backside way made it much on the backspin more than when I do front side ones. They're more like you know, just a little more backflippy.
Yeah.
And who gave it the name ultimately? Was it through chapter 3, like Constantine video?
It was, definitely was not me. It was, I didn't name it that, you know, I would never name something after myself, you know, like that. But
Scodio is a dope name if you know a rodeo existed and your name is Skogen. If you really came up with that name about yourself, you get the pass.
It was you know, it was all the boys, man. It was, again, it was Clint, Rod, Carlos. There was a whole squad of people, and they definitely just came up with the name and started calling it the Scodio, and it was like, what am I going to do? You know, sure. Sounds good. And then I saw you doing the way it also stick. They kind of came up with the name, right? And then the one that's in the half pipe that they showed, there's this, yep. So Constantine labeled it in the movie chapter 3, like you're seeing, which there's also some funny other names in there that he went and took the liberty to name.
Rock Bottom.
Right, the Rock Bottom. You got the Austin 316. Like, why not make up a crazy name? But yeah, the one in the half pipe kind of ultimately stuck too, with the like alley flat spin, getting labeled that as well. But
I'll tell you what made it big for me as a fan was when you guys did he did the audio segment of you guys talking, and then like Raps, I think, said it. He's like, rodeo Scodio.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, that was a quote for, like, I don't know, anyone that loves skiing that saw the movie.
And that was a great audio section. I remember that was Constantine's idea. We all went into the studio there at E-Media Studios there at Steve's house, which I know was your first stop into Tahoe, as if I'm not mistaken.
Steve Mitchell, E-Media Films.
Steve Mitchell, E-Media Films. And we all just like talked shit around watching the footage. And I agree, that segment came out so cool. Like, just a great idea of a way to do that.
Who was your biggest influences, like, as skiers that you like rolled with? Like, who did you look up to and think was the best? And you're like, fuck, man, I kind of want to, like, he stepped it up, like, whether it's at the road gap or, I don't know, just skiing around Tahoe. Who is the person that's like, fuck, man, he's the best?
You know, I mean, Evan for sure had a big influence because he came from just a really strong background of skiing, and he was so damn good at the cork 7 rotation. And then like CR also, between those two, it was like they were so good at some of the technical, like, you know, having that nice cork rotation that
Yeah.
I looked up to those guys a lot. And then also like I've always loved the big mountain side of it, you know, and like Powder, Big Mountain, have mad respect for that. And I think you know, like Kreitler was a big influence. He was kind of our big brother a little bit, and he was like excited. I mean, McConkey for that matter too. They were always, both of them were so stoked on what was happening, and that they fed the fire of like, you guys are doing so much cool shit. Like, we want to be involved. How do you do this? You know? And it was cool to have like look up to them at so many levels, but then having them like look up to
Your
us.
question nonstop. You're like, "Are you my idol?" And they're like, "Yeah, how do you do that, man?" Like, yeah, those two, like,
Yeah.
they were an awesome generation. McConkey just would ask every question, every kid.
And just the stoke level, you know what I mean? Like he would get so stoked and just, you know, supportive of everything and help out with stuff. And no, it was they were super supportive. Big ups to Brad Holmes too. He was around, and you know, he helped me out personally a few different times with like, you know, getting into contest, or, you know, kind of that side of things, and the business side of things. He was a huge role model too of like how to turn this thing into kind of a business and a living, you know what I mean? And they were all like, all three of those guys, huge people to look up to, that were successful and kind of like mapping out how to be.
And they were the biggest. Like, when the sport was beginning, like, they were as big as they got. So to have them as like mentors and peers is pretty wicked.
Totally. No, super cool. Super cool.
We ask people the same question every time they come on, our guests, because it's a relevant theme in our sport. And I'd like to know how you would define style.
And yeah, defining style. Funny question because I've got this. What do I got here? I've got a what do you got? A Japanese ski Big Air from Generation X video. I got this. Here's Gen X 2. I think they asked me the same question. That's the only reason.
Oh, big up Chisei-san.
Chisei, Gen X, Japan. What? And I think I said something along the lines, but yeah, for me, style is just being like smooth and controlled, and also like having an individual style and not being afraid to like do things differently, right? And so to me, it's just kind of like doing whatever you want to do and making it your own, but like being really smooth. I'm all about smooth. I love smooth and controlled, and just like zero flailing, grabbing, compact. And I know there's different kinds of style, but that's my style. I like being really just like smooth and controlled and compact, and like that's what I would consider like takeoff to landing, like just, yeah, no flailing. And I just like being smooth, you know. And I appreciate it, you know, any kind of style really. All people have different kind of styles. That was just my style.
Yeah, and you held it strong, dude. Definitely well said. It's beautiful to watch.
And like being different, right? I think some style comes from being different, so you stand out. And always like looking at kind of, I remember, you know, looking at what wasn't being done and trying to like fill those gaps versus trying to do everything. There was a lot of people doing a lot of same things, so it's kind of like, well, you know, I could do that, but why not try to fill this gap and do something different that nobody's doing.
Man, gonna jump all over the place because I have such a fun question because you're a coach. Can you do something different? Like if you told your kids nowadays, because you're the U.S. ski team coach, could you tell them to do something different, or do they have to do a certain degree of difficulty?
No, but I mean, there's a degree of difficulty for sure, but like we're all about doing things differently.
Yeah.
I
So you
love to
still
try
think
to
it's possible to do something different at a competitive level?
100%.
Awesome.
And that's the huge key to success at the competitive level. Because
It's the
there's,
only way of success, I think, in life, right?
yeah, I mean, there's literally, there's so many guys and girls doing very similar tricks that you got to do something different to stand out. And whether it's X Games or wherever, the people that consistently do really well are doing something different or doing it differently, whether it's a different grab or a different axis or, hitting a different rail or hitting it a different way. And so, no, I mean, I don't think I would be coaching if that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? Like, I love bringing that to that side of things and kind of allowing and encouraging these guys because they're, so talented to be able to like explore that side of things and to try to do something different because it's the only way you're going to stand out. We know that if everybody does the same exact trick, it gets real boring real fast, right? No matter how hard it is, it doesn't matter. Like you got to bring some different flavor, bring your own personality, do something different. And I'm really proud of a lot of, all the guys and girls on our team of like, bringing that, like thinking about none of them are like, really good at not, just copying. They're trying to kind of do the same thing, like develop and create something new and cool, and that
Wicked.
it
Sorry, I
stands
jumped
out.
all
And they,
over Phil. Like I went way ahead, but I was like, man, like the biggest thing about giving flowers to you, Skogen, is you have such a unique knowledge path. Like you didn't come from moguls, you didn't come from freestyle like a lot of people did. You didn't come from Big Mountain or being a sponsored athlete. You came from like the whole like weird place. You're the only guy like in the whole sport, and I kept like over researching last week because I was just like, man, like you're such a major important part. And foundation was ahead of when I was trying to think of how to label you, like icon, legend, foundation. I'm like, man, foundation is the only label I could give you. And I'm like, I don't know if people in skiing know what that word means. Like in music, people know what it means. Like, but like I look at you as like such a major foundation. Why? Because you created your own lane. And this goes back to another thing about like giving you your powers is like, and that's what like everyone that's on the show, the biggest success, Phil included, up top, like you guys all created your own lane. So like I want to like thank you for doing that because it's what you can teach your kids nowadays or the people that followed you after. Because like still everyone learned from you, but they had to create their own lane from with the things they learned, right? Like LaRoche learned the dopest switch rodeo 720 I've ever seen in my life from you as a 15-year-old by watching you every day. But he still had to figure out how to create his own lane off your trick.
yeah, and no, and he did it. He did it real nice with Blunt, right? He added the tail grab, real
and
nice.
Japan,
Yep,
and Luke.
yep, yeah.
But he did it all by watching you as a kid, man. Like everyone at Tahoe says it. Fucking Dash says it. Everyone, they're like, we just watched Skogen do rodeos. So
that's crazy. It's so cool. I mean, I literally have no words for the appreciation that I can feel from that. You know what I mean? Because it just really came from a place of like, wanting to just make it and do like I come from a big skateboard background and kind of that whole side of things, skateboard, snowboard, ski, but it's just all mixed together, and just being like wanting to create, and create something new. And no, it is that it's such an important part, and I think a lot of times we got to. I'm always trying to remind everybody of that, even to the highest level these days, even at the whatever Everett, the FIS, and all these crazy people that are trying to like lock our sport into a box. It's like the reason our sport exists is because we don't fit into a box. And if we ever do, then that's not a good thing. Like we got to keep evolving it to the next level, and like, and it's cool to see these guys are doing things like that, and like, have you got to? It takes a little bit of gut, right? You got to be willing to kind of roll the dice and
I'm
try,
going deeper, man, because you're the best person to answer this question ever. Is competitive freestyle an oxymoron?
Sure, with the name.
Well, if you're competing, if you have a freestyle, and like everyone has a different style, but everyone can do it flawless and perfectly, you know, it comes down, it's easy, right? A winner is going to be the guy who's the most perfect, how's grab the longest, but like,
And that's the beauty of it, you know. I mean, the judging is never going to be perfect because it's people's opinions. But I mean, that's also okay. You know, I think we've realized to some extent, and we're trying to, you know, not make a million rules because that doesn't go with the sport. There's like guidelines that you got to grab, you got to land, you got to go big.
yeah.
But otherwise, there shouldn't be any rules. And that's like interpretive, and that's where it's tough, you know. The beauty of it though is everybody supports each other, and you know, if you don't win, but it's always in that top 5 guys are so dang good that it's like so hard to decide exactly who maybe won or got third or second, but they're all supportive of each other, and they're all like kind of competing against themselves, like trying to do the dopest trick that they have to do.
Yeah.
And after that, it's up to the judges, and then it's over, and everybody's stoked, and you go on and do it again, you know. And that's where I think, like, the keeping the courses and the jumps and the features like creative is a huge part of that, because they got to be able to like interpret those features and like and do the coolest stuff they can do on them, right?
Did
So
you
we don't want to get
like competing?
what's that?
Did you like competing?
I did. Yeah, I liked kind of the I liked the pressure of trying to do it, and in the moment I really did like it. I didn't want to like only do that, but I
So that's
did
what
like.
something that people. This is another big thing you got to get your flowers in. In 2000, Skogen was on pretty much every fucking podium, like almost everyone. Like if you go back and like airs and slope styles and all this, and that's why I ask you if you like competing, because everyone did every element of sport, movie making, and then competing, doing all this shit in your. But I was interested if you liked it because sometimes because you had to do it, you know, and you like Big Mountain, and then I only witnessed you through movies. Really, I knew you through a dominant force, and maybe it was an injury right away after. But like, I always looked at you as a super artist more than a competitor. So I never got to ask that question to you personally and knowing you or anything. But yeah, it was interesting.
It's you know, I do like it. I like doing well, right? I like winning. But not even winning, but doing well. I never actually was super obsessed with like being the winner.
Yeah.
I wanted to be like on the podium with those other top guys and kind of like feel like I was in the same ballpark and with doing the same, you know, range of stuff. I didn't really care. Yeah, I wasn't super competitive as far as like being the winner, but I wanted to be in that, like I wanted to be on the podium, and that, yeah, like I did have a really good sense of how to do that. I get that's one of the things I think I can bring. That's why I'm a coach, man, is because I was really good in my mind, at least, at the mental side of things and kind of controlling my emotions or whatever, and just having to focus and being able to like perform when it counted. and like capitalize on, you got to do it right now, and it counts right now, and do
And it's
the
funny too
best one.
because you were ahead of it, right? So in 2000, correct me if I'm wrong, you were doing Switch Rodeo 7, right? That was your shit in a contest. So you're losing to Candide, who's doing D spin 9 tail grab. Evan Rapp's doing D spin, like dope ass shit rotation. Everyone has a rotation that's not like Skogen. So even though Skogen was on every podium, this goes to your winning comment, because you won in my eyes because you had the most unique rotation at every event. No one else had it. You didn't cross your skis that much. You know, you did a lot of fucking safety grabs or Japan, whatever, something by your boots. But when everyone else was tweaking mutes or tails.
What? Right.
I don't know. It's just really big, I think, that you were able to stick out. But what I'm saying is, like, you couldn't have been first, right? Even though it was switch to switch, where degree of difficulty nowadays, that would have mattered. If you're doing a switch to switch 7, would be to D-spin 9. But when D-spin 9 by Candide goes 30 feet lower than you, you know what I mean? And you're like, holy shit, dude. I don't know, but your rotation's what I remember. And when you put your beside Bellinger on those podiums, beside Candide on those podiums, beside Johnny Mosley on those podiums, I mean, you're like every single icon.
And and for me, I was just super grateful to be, rewarded and be on those podiums with those guys. And again, I really had the feeling of competing against myself. As long as I could go out there, do my best trick that on that moment, I was good with that. And so to get then getting the result is kind of secondary. It was always like, yeah. And I feel like it's a lot that way these days too, which is great. Like everybody, you're competing against yourself to do your best trick at that time. And then the judging, that's all up in the air. And, we don't have any control over that. All you do is go out there, like, and do your stuff and do it as dope as you can. And after that, whatever, right?
Who's this person, Phil?
Mikhail just popped in the comments, and I figured I'd give him a shout because doing the research for Skogen stuff, I popped on this filthy rich clip of Mikhail at the U.S. Open doing one of the illest switch blinded 9. So shouts to Mikhail.
Mikhail.
I can watch at 3 a.m.
Love it.
Fucking awesome to have him pop in here.
I remember
Skogen,
judging.
I was wondering, you were way ahead of time with like spinning left and right, like something you got to be giving flowers to for as well. That like was way beyond before everybody else. Did that come from like the background of snowboarding, or how did you approach left and right?
No, that 100% came from snowboard, going front side and back side, and then same with switch front side and switch back side. And yeah, just again, kind of using my edging takeoffs. I did, yeah, just spinning both ways on the snowboard. It made sense to me. Like, why not spin both ways on my skis? I was never into, I don't know. I figured that was a good way to diversify rather than trying to just spin more and more and more, was to go different directions. And it definitely came from snowboarding, and I could do it on my snowboard. So I figured, why not do it on my skis? And
like,
yeah,
I want to say big up yourself on that, because like a young Dash Long who's following you when he's 14 years old, like his claim, like when I got to work with him, like up to 18, he could do all his 540s every way. Switch left, switch right, forward left. And it was all for that same mentality, because you guys were in a small little circle with the Line Tahoe guys, like just be like, all right, man, how can we do something dope, like slow rotation? Like
right. Because again, and right, if it's about style and grabs, and like, snowboarding at the time was so much about just like really dope grab and like body position, right? Like having this like super still, locked in body positioning, and basically like not moving a finger. You just want to be like boom, and just hold it throughout. And so to me, um, it made sense to do that. Yeah, I guess, less rotation, more directional. Again, it was doing what other people weren't doing. I was finding searching for the what people weren't doing and trying to kind of fill that void and do things that I thought were cool, you know.
If
Phil,
you could equate
you got a lot. I've been going hard.
Yeah, if you could equate your skiing to a music genre, and if you want to be more specific, an artist, what or who would it be?
How about this one?
Dude, this is going, man. Did you see the Omar one?
This is a Griffin Cummings special, handmade headband when those were coming out. You know what I mean? Looking kind of funny right now, but you know,
big up.
Keep it on, dude. Looking fresh.
Little JP Walker action, you know. Maybe Eric Pollard, shout out to the Northwest. All right, music. That's an interesting question. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess for me, I've always been into I've always been into rap. I've always liked everything. I like rock. I like rap. I like punk rock. I like it all. But for me, some of my favorite rap is like some underground West Coast rap that maybe has a little bit of a funky style.
What's the longest you've ever fizzed out for?
I mean, fuck. How long can you dance for in a night? A few hours.
Know. I don't know if it's days, night, weeks, years. You know.
Yeah. No days. I like to sleep, man. When I get tired, I get tired. Doesn't matter what's going on. I all of a sudden hit the wall, probably at about 24 hours. It's like,
you know,
I'm done.
That's part about me asking that question was
I'm going to sleep.
Who understood it? No one else understood it, and your face was awesome. Like, this not man, 2006, 7. Ain't no one know.
I mean, you know, it's a vibe, right? It just means you're having a good time. High energy, and good time, right? Like good music. I've always been a fan. Anything with bass. Give me some bass. I like some, you know, I always wanted to have like Too Short says, you know, got 215s beating down the block, right? You want to have a large speaker and a lot of bass and feel it.
And wear glow sticks like mouth guards. What the fuck? Is that B?
No, that's Skogen.
Oh,
what? Is that me? Huh?
Yep.
That's a funny shot. Yeah, I believe. Where did that come from? That was a mouth. It was a mouth
guard. It come from Oakland. That's all you need to know.
I mean, it did actually, because when Rich was filming those videos, we were hanging with some real hyphy homies, dude. They were no joke. They were like, you know, buddies with Keek Deek, and they were all like a few different rap selves that were down. Humpy Pockets. You got it.
Omar fucking gave it to me right there.
Yep. No, they were some good dudes, man, and they were really rad. They like, you know, they embraced a few skier white boys in the mountains, you know, because they were like, whatever, you guys are cool. We'll hang out with you. And they were dope.
No,
yeah,
that was dope too for Filthy Rich and what you guys are part of, because like even in ski movies, right? Like there's a million ski movies in 2006, but then to hear all like East Oakland hyphy music as a soundtrack to a ski movie, once again creating your own lane. Ain't no other ski movie out of the 600 ski movies I could watch in 2006 was hyphy East Oakland beats. It's dope.
it's a little bit of that Bay Area flavor just coming from Tahoe. I mean, you gotta love Tahoe. It's a very individualized spot where everyone knows what the dream is, right? Everyone can kind of have the same vision, like creating and doing you, right? Doing your own thing. There's no need to follow anything. It's all about kind of creating and creativity.
Big up Mac, Dre, do you?
Yeah. So you got to keep the sneak verse on lock. We can hear.
Oh man, on lock, huh? No, I don't. I mean, shit. I love me some super hyphy though. You got it a main.
Yes. I'm curious. In the game, you're wearing a jacket with your last name in the back here. Was that a pro model or just a coincidence?
Shout out to Josh Lubeck. He was the athlete/team manager of Wave Rave at the time, and I believe that he made that custom for me for X Games, for going to X Games that year, and he had Wave Rave embroider that on the back of the jacket, and that was that. Yeah, shout out to Josh Lubeck, OG. He sponsored me on Wave Rave. Shout out to Raps for hooking that up too. All about the homies hooking each other up back then, right? So custom jacket from Wave Rave.
So how long
courtesy
weren't you on
Josh
band
Lubeck.
like that spring?
That was afterwards. We all got sponsored. Not we all, but Boyd Easley, Mike LaRoche, and Shane Anderson. We all formed the Van outerwear team. But that was like in 2001, I want to say.
Okay. No, I lived
Right
there.
after that.
I remember it's 2000 for sure. Everything was Vans. Because when I lived in
Yep.
it was nuts how much shit you guys got. You guys were in your own special clique of fucking being sponsored.
It was pretty great. Yeah, no, I had like 20 shoe boxes, tall. Stacks of gear for sure. That was the golden era there. They sent you so much stuff. It was crazy.
3 boxes a month, man. Like everyone just like, here it goes. Like,
I mean,
house.
And Vans was cool, right? That was an outside the ski industry sponsor that was, kind of like crossing some borders of, snow, skate, whatever. Like for skiing, to me, that was a huge thing to be on Vans, because that's a company that's got a huge legacy in skateboarding and snowboarding to like embrace skiing. That
So
really meant.
how did Vans come about? Who made that happen to make them care about skiing?
I believe had an agent that I shared with, actually, with I believe with Raps for sure. It was Tanner's agent for a long time, but I forget if she worked with Mosley a little bit too. But Nadia Guerrero, yeah, she was dope, and she was on top of her stuff, and she's the one that hooked it up for me. That's what I remember. She hooked it up, and we're kind of like, oh, something about Van shoot at High Cascade. Comment there.
And big up Nadia, because if you she's like the head of all of I don't know what she is, but she's monster in life as her job. So where she went and who she helped out, and how she helped skiing in the early years, man.
Hell yeah.
You Raps and Tanner and everyone, and then went on to Reno stuff, and even me, she helped me do the picking for the Icer Air in San Francisco, and that was 2005. So she's the behind the scenes to be like, okay, what's cool? Let's try to make that cool. So
totally. much love to her, and she helped me out a ton. And yeah, just to have an agent back in the day, and they were big time. She was working with Steve Astaphin and like family. Who, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's Steve Astaphin's still one of the biggest agents out there. I forget what their agency's called, but no, big time out of like LA.
Yeah.
And helping athletes out and doing it right.
We got Phil.
Well, we could pursue on the time scale of things and see where we at in 2001. But I got this question. Since you're amongst one of the most knowledgeable people in skiing, I want to ask you this because we never asked a guest, and I'm wondering what your opinion is on breaking down the profession of skiing, what a pro skier was maybe when you came up about it, and if you want to take a stab at it, what do you think now is a pro skier, what it looks like?
New hat.
That's a tough question for sure. I think what it was then, it was more, across the board, kind of all inclusive with you had to be a marketable person, to some extent. You were an image that was out there, and you had to do it all. You had to compete, but also be going to these photo shoots and film shoots, and kind of doing across the board, and then film movie segment, and going on the the movie tour, promotional tour in the fall, and signing posters. And it was such a cool thing in that regard, where you really were kind of hitting all the different aspects of skiing. And I, to some extent, I think the top guys currently are still doing a lot of the same things. They're relevant in competition and X Games, but then they're also filming a movie part, and doing, and that movie part probably has urban skiing, backcountry skiing, park skiing, and it covers all those bases. There's a lot more aspect professional skier these days, though, that branch off, right? Just be kind of just a competition skier, or just a big mountain skier.
Can you call yourself a professional skier if you don't make an income to provide for yourself?
That's hard to say. My definition of professional skier always was that I always like to say I skied full time skier.
Okay,
Love it.
Didn't have, yes. I always say I was a full time skier, just like a full time job, right? I didn't have another job that was on the side. Or
I like that name more than professional skier.
That's what I always say. I skied full time, or I was I am a full time skier.
Because
but these days, unfortunately, some people don't have the luxury, to they certainly ski full time because they work their butts off. But some of the resources out there are hard to come by. Yeah, there we go. The Gucci model. There's a bunch of people that, I was recently talking about the Gucci model. A lot of people don't really even know that ski existed. That was kind of in 2005, and I made it a little wider than some park skis at the time, and it was a little wide for what people do at the time. But now you look at skis currently, and it was a little bit of ahead of the curve, right? It was a little more. I built it as more all mountain art, but I do love that graphic. But anyway, it's tough. I know everybody out there these days works their butt off and probably puts in more work than a lot of people did back in the day, but the resources aren't quite out there to support them, which is a bummer because everybody really is putting their life on the line, their heart and soul into this thing, and they should be supported. But the current state of the whatever in the last 10 years, it's evolved, the economy and social media and all that stuff that it's really hard to make a living out of it. So, and just that there's more people and not everyone can get paid. So I think the definition has evolved a bit. I don't want to take anything away from people that are, amazing skiers, they're competing, but then they've got, supplement their income with working a bit. That's just the life that the times we're in, right? You gotta do it for the right reasons and love it though.
Yeah.
And I think you still can be a professional skier, even if you gotta supplement your income a little bit. But ideally, that's part of the risk reward, right? Is you gotta dive in 100% to believing that this thing can happen, because that's part of it, right? You got to believe, and you got
this, Skogen. It can happen, but you have to create your own lane. Because you and many people beside you, when there was competition involved, there's still being an art form involved and all this. So I think it can happen, right? Now you might have to be, I always call it a supermodel effect. You have to do it all. Like you have to be in the movie, you have to be good looking, you have to do whatever. So maybe it just takes that person, Henrik's the OG of well-roundedness, but whoever the next kid is that's all of a sudden TikToking himself while being Henrik and then doing the next thing. It's super interesting to watch because I do think I agree with you. You can be a pro skier, you really got to find what's missing. And then once you find what's missing, because there is something, then you're going to be that dope ass shit. And it's hard to find because everyone's doing a lot of awesome stuff.
And you got to hustle. That never changed. You got to hustle, right? You got to get out there and work. And you got to
sell the tapes out of your trunk. That's
right. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to put in the extra work. And you got to be willing to, it's not easy. So you got to be willing to put in that extra work to kind of make your dream come true, right? You got to work your ass off, as they say. But
so
no, you got to
like this with Skogen. I want to say is because part of why we're giving flowers to you is because we believe you have this much knowledge. Why I think you're so awesome. One of the biggest reasons is you're a guy that's a coach of a FIST program, but you were never involved in the generation that left FIST. Right? So many of the people beside you when you go to summer camps and stuff with their fuck FIST t-shirts and stuff, you're I was never part of FIST. So it was so fun to watch you get involved in something with no previous history, right? Compared to say co-partners, perhaps previous got into it. It was hard to watch because of this, but to get you involved in it, I was even Tanner and I would always talk about it. We're man, it's so cool because Skogen can actually just tell what his opinion is. He doesn't know how the system works. He doesn't care how it works. He's going to be here's the best thing I can do for everyone.
And for sure, no, and I still to this day, really, 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 really try to carry that torch of, the idealistic approach of free skiing, of what it should be, what it can be, what it's going to, where it's going. And, of course, recognizing that history, because I saw it firsthand. I saw those guys quitting mogul teams, national teams, to do this. And it's you got to look at history to understand where you don't want to go, right?
Yeah.
And it's getting tougher and tougher these days, but coming from that background, you got to stick.
My point was I wanted to give you flowers because I think your knowledge is very special. I think what you bring to the sport as a skier, a competitor, as a coach, as an influencer is all these different things as a mentor is amazing. And that's part of the reason why we want to do this show is because you're important to the whole sport, whether it's today or 25 years ago. So that's part of our big giving flowers is just getting some of your knowledge. So it's a little different tonight, but we give, man.
Yeah, nice. I got to, you got to give a shout out to some of the OG coaches too. Always the filmers. The filmers were the OG coaches where they were telling you to go up and do it again because it wasn't perfect. And like, no, that one wasn't good. You got to go do a little bit of this and do a little bit of that. And, I know I benefited a lot from the filmers being coaches and kind of like driving me to do another hit or whatever. And then, and then just, I know just for me, it's always been something that I've felt like drawn to as far as coach peer to like coaching each other as athletes, right?
What?
And I mean,
it's that true mentality. And just to interrupt you, it's like, we did the Booze Boys with Omar and fucking Tufflemeyer, and we did like Loose Cannon, like with Rory, and like a big theme is always when we talk with people, it's about having a crew. Yep. Crew, fucking the Tahoe boys, like it's just a matter of like that peer fucking coaching. The cameraman is one element for sure, but you're always hiking that jump with someone that's more knowledgeable than cameraman. Cameraman can't do that trick, but whoever you're hiking that trick with, like, hey man, do you see the snow slow today? Oh, you'd be so much doper if you just did this or that. So it's so much about the crew, and you're re-implementing a crew idea through a team. So it's kind of fun to see in a future sense because they build off each other, and the best way to coach someone is just like they're smarter than you, they're better than you, so of course they're gonna figure it out. You don't ask them they don't come down to you probably and say, "What did I do wrong, Skogen?" You probably get to say, "Hey, what what you did wrong, right?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Exactly.
Like, all right, you got
it. You got to be you got to be self analyzing, and a lot of what we do too, you set them up, you give them the right environment, right? You give them all the tools, like a dope jump and a bunch of other people to feel the vibe and stoke you out. And no, we try to carry that torch a lot with like allowing all the athletes just to feed off each other, coach each other, and like learn from each other. And the other thing too is the OG teams are always the sponsor teams. You'd travel around with your sponsor team, and that was like
team man.
That was your
coach.
But yeah, and it's cool to see how something due to her bringing that back with the like team event, and throwing a bunch of guys together, and yeah, just remembering all that stuff is key. You know what I mean? And realizing where we came from, and a lot of that stuff hasn't changed. You just got to remember and implement that way, right?
Thanks for the elaborate answer, man. Definitely struggle with that terminology myself, but I like full-time skier a lot. Here to jump back into the scope timeline of a professional skier, if we go 20 years ago, you injured your knee at a time where you were on your maybe your apex at that point, like going up, injured your knee, and it kind of set you off on a different path, or not necessarily a different path, but how did that affect your path in your career at that point, the injury?
Yeah, it's a lot. It affected it a lot. Because and I don't. A lot of times I haven't advertised, how bad that injury was, and I think a lot of people don't even really know how bad it was. But like, I was really like this close to having my leg chopped off, essentially. From I didn't just, I wish I just blew my knee. That would have been amazing in comparison. And no, it really it hit me hard. And it's out to this day, it's still messed up. Like I deal with pain every day probably from that injury. And anyway, I'll tell you what it did do though is really make me like appreciate everything I had and have, and I was super lucky. Yeah, this question, did I get dropped? No, I was super lucky, super lucky to have the support that I did, to be able to, for one, do rehab all day, every day, and like work my ass off and try to get back as best I can. Um, and then it was never the same. No, my leg's still not the same. I mean, it's like I said, it was very close to being cut off, but also there's some muscles missing inside there, and some a lot of tissue died and all this stuff, and foot essentially doesn't move still. But that's where the drive and persistence comes in, of just being like, you know what, there's no way in hell I'm gonna stop pursuing my dream. And that was my mentality. I was just gonna make it work. But whether that's stupid, I don't know. A lot of people probably would have moved on to other careers, like, screw this, I'm gonna do something else. I wasn't gonna let that out of my sight, or at least without a major fight, right? And that right at the same time was when like some backcountry stuff was coming into play. And for me personally, like, going back to do you love competition? Sure, I love competition. I like winning. Was that my goal, to be a competitive skier for 20 years? Like, absolutely not. My goal was to ski backcountry powder and do cool stuff and rip powder with my friends.
To be a full-time skier was the goal.
That's my goal, to have fun, ski powder, and be a full-time skier. Exactly. So being able to transition a little bit, and because I couldn't take the icy impact. I did a few competitions after
I'm
that.
gonna say time out right now. Skogen injured himself in what? Summer of 2000, fall of 2000, in a motocross incident. Almost lost his leg. So he loses the whole 2001 season, which is the year Propaganda comes out. I got the privilege to make a movie with you, Stereotype, in 2002. So if you watch the movie 2002 of what you accomplished in that segment, a year after almost losing, you're having the dream to come back and do this segment. Like, that's something you need your flowers for, because that determination to come back and do all these tricks. And you did it on hard park jumps. So you're telling me what your dream was, to come back, seeing the bigger mountain. But we didn't film the bigger mountain. You almost hit a fucking rock right here. And that wasn't a one-footer. You fucking caught your edge and then lifted up your back foot. So when I watch that, so when I see all this, this jump at Alpine Meadows, it had a knuckle. You landed on that knuckle like 4 fucking times. Every time you're landing on your strong foot, you can watch every landing and see what his strong leg is. It's fucking nuts, man. So big up yourself for the determination to come back, because there was a new flavor of the month every fucking month, because 10 new tricks were learned and new superstars were created in 2000, 2001. And you came back and did all this shit, man. And then figured out how to stay and fucking stick around. So that was huge, man. Like, in 2001, the sport evolved faster than you can ever imagine. Ever.
It wasn't just, you're right, it wasn't just backcountry. I just loved all aspects of filming. Like, I love urban riding, like, in creating features and coming up with whatever,
This is all after a year of almost losing your leg, though. Everyone's watching it right now. Like, anyone who's watching, you're 26 people, fucking understand. You love skiing. Guy almost lost his leg, didn't blow his knee, didn't fucking sprain his ankle. Fucking almost got his leg cut off. Came back fucking shredded. It's fucking awesome, Skogen.
Yeah, no, and for me it meant a lot. Like, I never, I never was able to do. I know I've been better, done this, whatever. But you know what? Like, that's where life's a crazy ass thing, right? Like, who knows what else would happen? You know what I mean? I was on this pathway, and I was like, you know what?
You know what didn't happen, Skogen? You
I'm gonna
didn't
do what I
lose your leg.
can do. Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, even if that did happen, I would have still probably been doing crap. You know what I mean? Like I probably would have found a way to be the first dude with a prosthetic leg to do a rodeo or something. I don't know, but it wasn't nothing was stopping at that point. That's for sure. Or yeah. So no, it's tough, man, because there's always the what, the whatever, what could have happened, but it's life, and life is not fair, and we've seen that from many, many other experiences and examples, and like there's always something worse that can happen to you, and there's always something better, but like as long as you like love what you're doing and you kind of put your heart and soul into it, I mean, that's what matters the most, right?
Oh yeah, man. Give thanks for life and opportunity.
Yep, crazy stuff.
What you got, Phil?
Well said. I was just feeding off what Scott was saying, definitely, and your comeback was powerful. I didn't think you came back and did the stereotype segment after your injury. I thought stereotype came before the injury. But take us through a bit connecting afterwards with Filthy Rich and making those movies, Cold Blooded, Proven Guilty, and Never Again, Maybe Tomorrow. Like sort of reuniting maybe more family, the people who you grew up with, Rich, and making these movies with them.
Hell yeah, no, that was so fun, and I was like, such a group of friends, just going out and having this vision and making it happen, and you know, Rich was always around a bunch. He was a still photographer before he was making videos, and so we worked together a bit with him, shooting still photos for ads and this and that, and then yeah, he decided he was going to make these videos, and I mean, some of the best times we ever had. We were, out sledding all the time and um, snowmobiling with a solid crew, and just trying to create our own thing and doing the whole thing in house, on our own. Where he's doing the editing, like you said, we're getting the music from these actual people that we know as artists, providing the music and kind of making a whole like kind of underground like in-house production, and super super fun. That's what I was, some of what the first I think the first 2 years I was still doing because one of my other transition times or whatever, I switched and was filming with TGR for like 3 or 4 years, and then some of these movies were made kind of in conjunction with that, where yeah, a bunch of like this footage right here, um I I was filming on my own video camera, kind of on a lock off angle, while we were filming for like TGR stuff, and so I was kind of double dipping on that, which
Yes, sir.
yeah, which was good, right? We have our own like personal project. I was still kind of doing some of the other filming, but nevertheless, these days were, all day, every day on our snowmobile. We led 5 or 6 days a week, building bonfires and exploring new zones and building jumps, and trying to create, you the coolest stuff that we could manage to create at the time, and um, yeah, that was the goal. That, some of it is what it is. It's you always want a little more, but that's what we created, and we had a really good time doing it. That's for sure. Yes, riding with Sean Fields, riding with Rory Silva, bunch of OGs in our gang of people that were super positive and fun and just like all on the same page, like creating our own thing, you know.
Were you a full-time skier at this time? Or did you have any, were you a taxi driver at this time as well?
No, when I did switch to taxi and did that for a couple years in between, courtesy of Rich, also a taxi owner, Checker Taxi in Lake Tahoe. Um, during this time, no. This was I think I started doing that uh, uh, 2010.
So after your injury, you totally were able to like recreate yourself, like, and then make yourself like have like a decade of fucking support.
Yeah, close to it. Yeah, I was able to. Thank you. Big ups to my sponsors. Big ups to whatever the image and kind of the followers and the fans, whatever the image that I was able to create early on carried me through many years of being able to kind of like create whatever I could create as best my ability out in powder and on the streets and wherever, and just kind of I'm always trying to kind of.
How did you get your biggest fan base in the late 2000s? Were you in a bunch of TGR movies, MSP movies, or?
TGR was a big supporter. Yeah, they big ups to TGR. Love those guys. Yeah, Todd and Steve Jones, they're awesome. Big ups to Pete O'Brien or Alex O'Brien. Those guys were sick. Marc Andre Beliveau was our squad for TGR was Chris Collins, Dash Long, Marc Andre Beliveau, and then a few other people as well. Sorry, I'm not forgetting anyone. Super.
We have to talk about a tangent because like I got to get him on this show, and like I think you might have some insight about the dragon. So like Phil did his research on you. He listened to the whole podcast, and then you just told us that you kind of stayed with him in Salt Lake. But how do you meet Chris Osnes, and what's his influence on you? Because like this is the most epic person that no one knows about that brought so much to the sport. So I want you to maybe like give your opinion, your flowers to this man, like how you meet him first of all.
Hell yeah, no, big ups to Chris Osnes. I mean, he's a huge influence and he helped me out a ton early on. He essentially got me sponsored by Line. He was making a movie, Play Pigeons, which they got a copyright.
Wow, is that the plastic?
In the plastic, unopened, Play Pigeons.
Big up Chris Osnes, the dragon.
The dragon. He making this movie. Yeah, and I think 99. I might have been was it the same year as Chapter 3? God, it's so long.
90, the year before it came out. I was a freshman in college, and I watched that and Degenerate at the same time.
Okay, dang, it was that. Yeah, it was the year before. So he came out to Tahoe and was filming, and God, how did we? Great question. Fuck, I don't remember. What I do remember is going into Blackwood Canyon, doing a funny ass front flip Liu-Kang in the jump that I don't think it ever made the movie, but anyway, filmed with him a handful of days. I filmed with him, went up to Mount Hood. That's when he was building these big quarter pipes, and Bill Stevenson got a couple like a powder photo annual
the
cover shot,
powder annual cover shot of all time on the movie.
Super sick. And I mean, I can kind of relate to him. He was kind of a style guy. He didn't really have the biggest rotation, but he was like really good at doing tricks that he had, and super quiet and chill. And anyway, he was designing Osnus Dragon with Line, which Line previously was only making skiboards.
And so
they
everyone knows the Osnus Dragon is the first full-length twin-tip ski ever, over like 180 centimeters. Like it was 193.
193, yeah. And so I filmed with him a little bit, and then he was talking me up to go. You know, back in the day, the funniest thing that I'm sure a lot of people don't realize, but some people will chuckle about, is the way you would get sponsored is by building your portfolio with literally a binder and paper and photos and a resume, like on paper. And then you went to Las Vegas to the trade show. And you went around at the trade show and you tried to sell yourself to a company. Like, sponsor me. I'm the guy. And you literally would go around and try and talk to these people and try to get sponsored. And so sure enough, he was telling me, we were kind of collaborating on this, and he was telling me about his pro model that he's making, and I needed to go to Vegas and talk to Jason Leventhal at Line and try to see what happened. We were kind of he was kind of the mediator. He was talking to Jay a little. Austin was talking to me. He really wanted to bring me on into this thing.
So is this right after the Red Bull Huck Fest in '99? The Vegas right after that?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah, because we were filming. I remember if you look in chapter 3, the first half of the movie, I'm on like some vocal explosives, which are like heli skiing, fat ski, or I'm on the 1080s that Clint hand me down 1080s. And then about halfway through the movie, all of a sudden I'm on the Osnus Dragons, and I was like a prototype pair of Osnus Dragons that I got in my hand in Vegas. Like, no, that's a dream. Like, you don't go there and walk away with a sponsor, but I somehow I did. I talked to Jay. We figured out a deal, and I left there with these pair of twin tip skis in my hand. And that was like the greatest thing ever. And I've got these skis.
So when you show up with a 193 and you're like all Skogen Sprang, all short, like, and everyone's like, "What the fuck is on your feet?" Do you feel like a boss? Because I mean, yeah, even the shots in chapter 3 on the park kicker when you're doing those flat threes, you're like, "Whoa, your skis are so long."
Right?
Like, no one got that long of skis.
They were cool. I was down. I liked the long skis. You know, the other thing that was cool was that everybody had 1080s. And there was maybe there was a POW Air, maybe there was a Dynastar at the time. But yeah, no, I kind of fulfilled.
Everyone was 180.
Right.
Every ski was 165 or 180, and the ski you were on was 193. Most people at this time went from a 210 to a 180.
And it fulfilled that aspect of being different. And kind of having something that someone else didn't have, and it was kind of like my own unique, little piece of the pie. You know, I had something different. I had something new, and I was good with that.
Did you notice anything in terrain park? Anything you did, rails, parks? I mean, everyone else is on a 180. You just went from the 1080 and all this ski. Did you find having a 193 like allowed you to like have a more stable landing backs? Like, did you feel like you could eat that stuff?
They were kind of sick, dude, with the ability to like land on the tail and like, butter into the landing. And yeah, they were super stable. On the flip side too, they probably were a little harder to ski, honestly, on things. They were a little hard to turn certain times or whatever, but like I didn't care. I was like, I got twin tips. These are dope.
All I know is Andy Mayer entered the chat.
I'll make them turn. I don't care. Yeah, Andy Mayer. Hell yeah.
Sandy Mayer.
So many good good names
Dude,
popping up.
Travis Erdman's
Yeah.
been up. If he's still here. Like, I saw that name pop up, and that reminds me of 20 years ago.
He was on there. Yep. He was asking a question. 6 was 9, I think, is T. Erdman. Big ups. Oh, Mount Hood OG.
Create
You know, shout out those guys.
with L's.
One of the other crews of people that were just on it early was Griffin Cummings and Josh Frazier and the boys up there. There he is. He's
Yeah.
still there. Hell yeah. No, those guys, had their own vision and are still have their own vision. Gotta love it.
And when does the switch from Line happen? How does your relationship with Line come to an end? And then you start making a new deal with the new ski company. Can you tell us about this part of life?
Totally. Yeah, no, it was unfortunate for Line because they were growing and growing and growing. And, Jay is he's such a visionary that he started making this binding. And unfortunately, the line binding was kind of the death of the line team in a way because he had this sick idea to make this binding insert into that you could sit on the couch, screw into your ski, which to this day is crazy that there's no other company doing this. But literally, um, the ski giants that are out there that own all these big binding companies and stuff, they really didn't like it. They did not like this binding. It's taking away from the ability to go to a shop and pay for someone to mount your skis and all this. So there's some people that really difficult for him and cost Line a ton of money. And through these patents and lawsuits and all this different stuff that essentially killed the line. It was like, maybe it wasn't the greatest binding ever at first, but it could have evolved into, and it worked. It was cool. But it really, through all these issues, cost the company a huge amount of money, and it kind of killed them. They weren't a big company at the time. It took all the money that they had to deal with this, and essentially they gave up on the binding. They had to sell to a parent, which they kept doing, which actually Carhu skis bought them. But through all of that, essentially Jay had cut a bunch of the team, as sad as it was. And it was like, all right, we got to regroup and build this thing back from the ground up. And a lot of the OG team with, Mike, Nick, and Dash, and Wilson, and myself at the time, and Pollard, slowly got chopped off. And it was like, hey, you can still ski the skis, but we can't pay you. So it was like, obviously, we're trying to make some money to survive. And
it was like a downsizing of a company. I mean, everyone in that era, like for those 2 years, like 2006, I think. Like, cause Bibby, you had like such a great young gun team. You guys were like the legends and stuff like this, and so it's just a matter of like all of a sudden you're like, fuck, there went Bibby. They're like, yeah, man, the binding. He just put it all in, and then when said and done, the team is not what makes money for a company, but it's what drives the sport, the technology, the love, the passion, every single thing. When said and done, you could link it up to Amazon, sell your fucking ski, and make $1. But like the team is important because that's your vibe. That's why Armada was made. That's why Line was made. That's why the sport was made.
Yep. So that that killed the team. Or as far for me, it came to a point of where we left. I ended up leaving Line. Good terms. Thank you for everything. It's time to move on. And then that big ups to Vocal at the time. I got a great deal from them and skied on Vocals for the next 4 years. And they were developing a bunch of kind of reverse camper ski, this and that. They helped. They did they were a big sponsor of TGR, so that's kind of how my whole TGR deal worked together, and East Coast movie tours and posters and a bunch of cool stuff with those guys. So big ups to them for taking care of me for a bunch of years. And yeah, that's how that transition went.
Mad. And then you get on vocal for 4 years, you say, and then Slant Skis comes afterward. Is that the case?
Right. So yeah, same kind of thing. You know, vocals got a bunch of young dudes up and coming, and then right around, I think that the economy took a big dive right around what 2009, 2008, 2009, right in there, and it was like, all right, this isn't going in a good direction here. This is yeah, there we go. There's some plant skis. Hell yeah. And that one's actually, yeah, that one's a paint. I've been painting my own graphics for the big ups, Josh
Wow.
Bennett, or Slant Skis. Yeah, those are just a straight up a canvas painting that we transferred to ski for the last 3 years, and then before that, I had my little brother doing some graphic design, and it's been a really fun project. It's crazy to believe that it's been. Yep, that was a design by my little brother there with the crawler graphic. Right there. I've actually got T-shirt. Oh,
Man, you got so much memorabilia. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, ongoing project. They're a small company that very sustainable for ski. Basic core. They make everything in house, from the core to the base to the graphics. Like they don't ship out for anything. Everything is made in house and made kind of like small batch and super durable and as environmentally friendly as you can be with the ski. Right? It's obviously epoxy is nasty stuff, but there's some stuff out there that is more environmentally friendly than the original stuff. Yeah, no, love it. I named that ski's name is the Cornelius, named after my grandpa, and been designing the graphics and the shape for a bunch of years now. And
do you still have a pro model?
What's that still? Yeah, there's still a current model. Yes.
You still have a Skogen Sprang pro model?
It's not called it's not a pro model, but there is the Slant Skis Cornelia, still designed by Skogen Sprang.
And coach of the U.S. free skiing team, man. Like, do you ever look at your skis and then like ask your kids, you're like, you want some of these someday?
Well, yeah, I try. I don't promote them very much, honestly. But people, yeah, there we go. There's
that's just a big up to you, Skogen. Like I'm just saying, like, man, like you still have a name with your ski on it. Like it's such a dream of every skier.
I guess that's the entrepreneurial DNA inside. Trying to just always kind of hustle and have, I just really enjoy that aspect of it. Like I love promoting small company and being kind of like owned and rider built, and supporting the core of free skiing, because that's all we got, right? That's all we got.
Do you have a pair of every ski with your name on it in your life?
I think so. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's why, my wife just came home, and that's why I get crap all the time for having much crap.
But do you have a pair of your first ones ever unmounted?
I do.
Oh, man, it's not that big deal. I give them to you anymore. So it was all stoked.
I do. I don't have every pair unmounted, but I do have every pair.
Nice work.
A couple of them have been, there's a few that have been skied, but I definitely keep that stuff, with the, and I just know that I need to keep it for, somewhere down the line. I'm just,
Oh yeah, that's a big deal. What if like you never can buy something again or you get it for free again? You're set.
exactly. No, I need to have my, like, my ski museum or my stockpile of all my old stuff. And it's amazing that I could bring out all this gear and actually find it in an accessible place, not too far away. Yeah, what up? I found some other junk. I mean, look, check this thing out. Here's an X Games bib from 2000.
Hell yeah! Did you podium in 2000?
What's that?
Did you podium in 2000?
I did. That was yeah. I got so second place to Candide, like you mentioned.
That's the Switch Rodeo 7, is it?
Switch Rodeo 7 in Japan. Yeah, here's some key graphics.
Is this the bib right here on this clip that we seeing coming up?
You got
No, that was the World Ski Invitational.
yeah, WSI.
Oh damn!
WSI in Whistler, on the Whistler side. Yep. Yeah, no, I busted it out. I got this. Look at this relic. Yeah, here it is. Busted it out.
Champion.
A little 2000. Little silver action. But if I'm gonna take silver, I would not rather take silver to anybody but Candide, because I mean, come on.
You
Candide
podiumed in Japan that year too, right?
I mean, he is the most psycho, talented, amazing person ever.
20
Unbelievable
later.
what he's still doing. Hell yeah.
Did you podium in Japan as well that year at Core Games?
I did. That was I funny enough. Yeah. Oh, look what we have here.
This guy's great.
And the funny one that we've been talking about. So there was I got gold in the big air in Core Games.
So is that your only gold medal in major competition?
It might be.
Wicked, dude. Because that event was probably that was the biggest payout event too. That was like twice the biggest X Games. Just so everyone knows,
it was bigger.
Skogen gold was the biggest payday of the year.
It was bigger than X Games at the time.
$30,000 US.
It was a lot. Yeah, it was. And then I got third in the quarter pipe competition the same year, so I cashed in two. But then we've been talking about with half pipe. No, we need to bring back the quarter pipe.
Why did you just show us right there? What was that one?
That's the two of them. So that's the gold.
Just the gold.
But then this is the bronze from quarter pipe.
Okay.
Anyway, they look similar. But yeah, we're talking. Got to bring back some quarter pipe competition, maybe, right?
Fuck yeah.
Just keep the stuff alive. Keep half pipe. It's tough these days. There's not a ton of half pipes out there. Like quarter pipe competitions were sick. Go huge. Do a single. It's like a big air for half pipe, right?
Yeah.
Kind of
quarter pipe cons were the shit.
Kind of down. Yeah, no, that was a fun one. Oh, yeah. Got a nice little sticker here for everyone,
Man, he's got boxes.
Yeah.
What else we got, Phil? Like, what am I missing? I'm just tangenting because it's so fun.
One last thing, I think also that obviously a lot to be said still, but I'd like you to talk about Tahoe Buds maybe like later in your career as you were like
for sure.
Yeah, just tell us about Tahoe Buds.
Big ups to Iberg for organizing these like inspired media TV shows. And no, I mean, and that is at that point Tahoe Buds was Sean Field and myself, and Rich was filming, and it was an opportunity for us to like basically have some fun and go out and film each other, and you know, try to keep the dream alive. At this point, you know, when we were talking about full-time Steven, I think when I was doing Tahoe Buds was during when I was you know, working a little bit on the side. But like, you got to appreciate that time also. It's like it becomes so special at that time, doing these things for so long, and so the ability to be able to still create something and be supported, it means a lot to me. You know, it means a lot, and we have, you know, full creative control where we were kind of getting a little more like behind the lens, and you know, doing all the different aspects of production and learning about some of that stuff, and still doing what we want, going out on the snowmobile, riding powder, filming each other, having a great time.
It was awesome. Here's what I'm gonna say.
That, you know, that's all
did was
fun to do.
I saw what Skogen was doing, and Sean and Rich, and I'm like, well, let's just put a platform for it, because they were already riding together every day. They're already best friends.
Right.
All this shit. So when we did this, it was so fun because I'll tell you the biggest memory like that, like I heard from all three of you, like you guys were so addicted to this cabin. And so like the memory, I would say, like, if I'm not even part of your circle, but I'd say like, all right, dude, what if you said what was the dopest thing in your life in 2012? It's like going to the cabin with the bros, you know, and like when I knew like to develop that with you guys, it was fun because it was such a everything was built around the culture of the community or the region, the shows that we created. And so like I was just like, all right, man, like you guys were you were ultimate ski bums, but you were the biggest pros, you and Sean. So that's I don't know, it's fun as fuck.
And those were great times for sure. Like we had a backcountry cabin that we essentially commandeered and called our own, but it wasn't. It was just a legal backcountry cabin. But nobody went there, so we did. We took it over, and we went there pretty much weekly. And would camp overnight and have bonfire, snowmobile in, and it was basically our own little backcountry ski resort right there. And you know, we drove our rock crawler trucks out through the snow sometimes, and would rally the trucks in the summer out there, and just a good old fashioned good time, if you will. having fun with your buddies, getting out in the woods, and living it up.
Yeah, pretty epic, man. It was fun to watch those when you guys made them.
So fun, yeah.
To this day, still. Yeah. What do you have anything else, Iberg, on your mind?
No,
I
probably can go forever because I miss you, Skogen. Like it's fun to talk. Like, and I got so many things I'd love to pick your brain on because I know you're so smart. But that's not the point of the show. The point of the show is to make sure you know how dope you are, how important you are to the sport,
well,
how much we get.
Before you land it, Iberg, I don't want to cut you on your flow of flower giving here, but let's do a rapid fire before you.
I wasn't
the ultimate
finishing.
flower bouquet.
But go.
Favorite ski movie?
For me,
yes, sir.
My favorite that I didn't see. We haven't put up yet, but you know what? Ready, Fire, Aim is up there for Johnny D. Ready, Fire, Aim. Otherwise, my favorite ski movie is probably The Game. The Game was that one special to me. But yeah, a close second is probably Ready, Fire, Aim.
Are you in Ready, Fire, Aim?
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
Damn, I didn't pull that one out.
That's all right. And I share a segment with Pollard with some Swollen Members soundtrack, I think. And that's some of my better. I was proud of the backcountry kind of stuff I got done that year. Like, yeah, post injury, you know, that one But it's a cool movie all around. That one's kind of a weird. It's got a bunch of different athletes, and it's got a pretty dope, cast and vibe to it. I like that one. I think that was one year where Johnny D made
Yeah.
2 movies, right?
Made 1242 that year, the Oakley movie.
Right, which is obviously super sick. So,
Wicked, I gotta go watch that because I made Bellinger's segment for that movie.
No.
Ready Fire, but like I don't think I watched the movie entirely.
yep, that
Is it
one's
online? The full thing, you would know.
I put it on there probably.
Booyah. Favorite video parts, Skog, of yourself? Which part ranks supreme in your mind?
I mean, the game is probably the best one for me, and then the same year I did Ski Movie 1 for Max Productions, and those were my best segment before I got injured. But I think the game is probably my favorite one. Yeah.
Here. Same. Best style of all time. Mike.
Of anybody? What's that?
Best style of all time. I would say Mike Nick because he was showing off the cyber.
Oh,
yeah.
I think LaRoche was on there commenting about the cyber hoodie.
Riddle.
Oh, there's Mike Riddle up there. Yeah, Riddle, what up?
Wait, Mike? Oh, I thought he was certified or something.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Style
Riddle.
of all time. I'm gonna go with Eric Pollard.
Woo!
Why not?
Why not?
Just a style boss.
Backward or forward skiing?
Backwards.
Yeah. Favorite ski movie song ever?
Anything by Swollen Members. Love it. Maybe Deltron 3030 though. If I'm gonna retract that.
Do you have a song in particular from Deltron?
Yeah, what's the name of the one that was always I'm spacing out the name, but
Madness, Mastermind, 3030 was Pollard and Royalty.
3030.
Yeah.
Anyone that loves Deltron, I just showed Phil this. Go check out AI's version of Virus off the 3030 album. It is the wickedest music video you've ever seen, and AI's taking over the world. Tangent. Go on, Phil.
Yeah, last but not least, this you can take time for. It's no rapid fire, but giving you the opportunity to give flowers to anybody of your choice.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, everybody that I think we've talked about here, you know what I mean? I think of course just the whole line squad was probably my family, the most with Dash Long, with Pollard, with Mike Nick, Jay Leventhal, Chris Osnes, 100%, Mike Wilson, all those guys. Like we traveled like a family. Turpin. It was kind of like the OG team, like we were talking about, where we really felt like we kind of like belonged to the thing and supported each other, and it was just what you want, right? It was just a family, and big ups to all those guys. Flowers to everybody that's ever kind of like just not given a crap what anyone thinks and done skied how they want and created something new and had fun. Big ups to you, Phil. I want to give you big ups to you're doing all these flower shows, and you deserve 10 shows of giving flowers for just being a super just everything imaginative and like creator, just like on another level, man. Love it.
And I want to say this is where
Thank
you
you.
make your own lane. This is like Phil, like how we're trying to teach the history of the sport, how we're doing all this stuff, like doing all that. Phil went and killed it in Tremblant today.
I know.
Live Instagram. Fucking we talking to Skogen. We're telling you guys how dope skiing is. Like, yo, big up Phil. Straight up, man. Give thanks for letting us use your platform to tell the people why Skogen's awesome and all these people are every week.
Thank you both so much. Yeah, you guys are responsible for paving the way of where we at right now. So feels good to be here. And also thanks, Go, for showing up with all the fashion relics, the antiquities,
Yeah,
and
you
also,
got
most importantly, the wisdom and the thorough knowledge you brought to the table is very valuable, and it's going to serve us well and also the audience. Let's see you in the dog here at again, please. Special
This one,
request.
yeah, you like that one the most. That one's
I
good.
think this is Skogen.
This is
In
Skogen.
my-
It's like a little Norwegian. You're kind of feeling like his weird Viking vibe name. It goes with you.
Hell yeah. No, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I can't thank you enough. And super fun to reminisce and talk about it all. And yeah.
Yeah, man. Keep teaching the youth to fucking create their own way, man. You got so many kids coming up in your program that just want to win. Like, you're doing such a cool thing for the sport because, like, people are following a path which thinks that gives them like a goal to achieve. But then as soon as they get on the path and they get to meet you, you can say, hey, you know what? There's other goals you can make out of this lifestyle. So many cool things you can do on skis. Freestyle's original.
All about doing it for the right reasons, right? All about doing it because you love it and having fun and being an individual and creating new. We always like, new, cool stuff.
Well, thanks for still being relevant, man. Thanks for fucking still teaching and doing what you do today, and not like we're not talking about just the past in this giving flowers. It's still about what you do daily. So you're the most relevant guy we have. That's like the teacher, the guru, the fucking man. So if anyone on the team, any of your athletes are watching, understand you thought Skogen was dope. Understand he's doper than you could ever imagine. Like that. I'll end it like that.
Thanks, you guys.
Beautiful. Thank you, Skogen.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah,
Take care.
couldn't be
Talk soon.
couldn't be more honored to have to do this with you guys. So thank you so much. And yeah, dude, keep it going. Another 20 years, right?
Yes, sir. Well said. For another 20 like the past 20. Even better, hopefully.
Yep. Thanks, man. Have a great night, Skogen.
Peace. Go.
Peace. Boom, bomb, disconnect.com. Oh, fuck, Phil. Episode 24 was epic.
Jeez, man. Beyond. Every time.
That's not smoke anymore. That's -8 degrees.
Yeah, man. And freezing cold. Big up, Iber, for just keeping warm. Smoking spliffs to keep you warm.
Yeah, big up fucking Ross Jacob.
True indeed. And big ups to the people who have been with us since the very beginning of the show. There are people who stay stuck for 2 hours and 15 minutes live.
And we do that because of you guys. Because, like, there's a reason people care about the history. People that are watching, like, actually we're part of it. People want to be part of it. Whatever, man. So that's why Phil and I do this. Phil's fucking killing it in Tremblant, Blanc, being a professional skier. I'm being a professional lifer here in Minnesota. Doing my damn thing. But give thanks to you guys tuning in. All of you, we love you. We know you fucking Mandy Mayer. Miss you, my friend. We'll get you on here as soon. We don't know who we got next week, but we'll figure it out. We'll let you know. So next Wednesday, right?
True indeed.
Awesome.
Peace, people.
Peace.